Self-isolation and spiritual communions. Kia ora everyone, my name is Brigid and I work for Bishop Steve at the Catholic Diocese of Hamilton. Today I'm here talking to you from my bubble, all about not being able to attend Mass and how spiritual communions can really help us grow deeper in our spiritual life and our relationship with Jesus Christ. As we know, Catholics all around the world are finding themselves unable to go to Mass due to the necessary restrictions placed in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19. This inability to go to Mass is unsettling and pretty unusual for most of us. However, despite the lack of public gatherings, we know that the celebration of Mass continues. Our priest is celebrating Mass every day without us, but offering the Eucharistic sacrifice for our good. Thanks to modern technology, many of our clergy have been able to share their otherwise private celebrations of Mass online with us. And even the Pope is getting on board, doing this every day from his chapel in the Vatican. This is a 21st century method of accomplishing what St. Charles Borromeo did during the 1500s, when during an outbreak of the plague in Milan, he ordered the celebration of Mass to take place outdoors so that people could watch from their homes. Pope Francis, on the 15th of March, told people, "United to Christ we are never alone, but instead form one body, of which Jesus is the head. It is a union that is nourished with prayer and also with spiritual communion in the Eucharist, a practice that is recommended when it isn't possible to receive the sacrament." In one of his recent letters, Bishop Steve has reiterated what Pope Francis said and encourages us in this practice of spiritual communion. He's encouraged us in this practice because even though we cannot receive Jesus physically in communion, we can foster within ourselves a good and holy desire to want to receive him spiritually in our hearts. This can be done using a formal prayer like the one Bishop Steve has given us in his letter. This is a spiritual communion that St. Alphonsus Liguori composed way back in the 18th century. My Jesus, I believe that you are present in the most holy sacrament. I love you above all things, and I desire to receive you into my soul. Since I cannot at this moment receive you sacramentally, come at least spiritually into my heart. I embrace you as if you are already there, and unite myself wholly to you. Never permit me to be separated from you. Amen. You can also practice spiritual communions without the need for a formal prayer, and it can be as simple as an aspiration from the heart. Why not take some time today in prayer and ask the Holy Spirit what to say? What did the saints have to say about spiritual communion? Because of the practice of spiritual communions has been around for a lot longer than coronavirus has, there are a lot of saints out there that highly recommend praying in this way. Here are just a few. The Cure of Ars, St. Jean-Marie Vianney, compared spiritual communion to blowing on fire and embers that are starting to go out in order to make them burn again. Communion is to the soul like blowing a fire that is beginning to go out, but that has plenty of hot embers still. We blow and the fire burns again. After the reception of the sacraments, when we feel ourselves slacken in the love of God, let us have recourse at once to spiritual communion. When we cannot go to the church, let us turn towards the tabernacle. No wall can shut us out from the good God. St. Josemaria Escriva taught spiritual communions improve presence of God. What a source of grace there is in spiritual communion. Practice it frequently, and you will have more presence of God and closer union with him in your life. St. Padre Pio also had the habit of making spiritual communion throughout the day outside the celebration of Mass. He desired to always be united to Jesus Christ in everything he did. A special advantage of spiritual communion is that we can make it as many times a day as we like, even hundreds of times a day, when we like and wherever we like, even in a desert, or up in an aeroplane, or in self-isolation. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful and be assured of my prayers for you during this time of self-isolation.